is ugly. There was turnovers every fucking time they cross half court for about 15 minutes, and 15 minutes of the game, not in a row, but like half the game was like turnovers crossing the half court. And that's when I was like, this is why you can't say the NBA is terrible, because at least these guys know how to fucking pass to each other. Like,
Well, you gotta think these are kids too. I get
well,
what you
that's
mean.
my argument of like what's
Yeah,
so great about college basketball over the NBA. I know your point about the NBA in terms of it's just all about shooting threes and not doing the smart thing, which is cutting to the hoop, because that's what they do in college basketball. They're more relying on, if you're a dominant guy with strength and um, a handle, you can succeed by just driving to the post. That's why Julius Randle, everyone knew he was going to be a success right away, because the one thing he could do, as he pointed out, like he had that dribble spin move at Kentucky, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's going to translate well, because if he's doing this to kids right away, he's going to be a success in the pros because he's already got a signature style."
and he was
But
6'9", 250.
yeah, but as of right now, like I mean, the Cam Boozer thing, everyone's saying like he just plays like his pops. I am interested to see if Caleb Wilson will translate, because he's got the prototypical game of a guy who's 6'8", lanky, he can shoot, and he
It
does.
will. He can
And
get
he does.
inside out.
Yeah, and he's also tries to shoot from the mid range too, which is an art form that they're saying maybe might try to make a comeback, because everyone's seen how 3-pointers have kind of ruined the game. But now if guys start to make the mid range, like it's the thing that people were shitting on DeMar DeRozan in the last 10 years, is he never developed a 3-pointer, but he developed. I mean, but he's like, hey, from 18 feet out, I'm
Hey,
automatic. Like
you won
from
for
deep.
that reference. Yeah,
But it's true that was the thing
yeah,
where people are like, in terms of why he was not a hot commodity after the Toronto um, trade, is that everyone's like, oh, the way the game's going, we need threes, and his game was like, from these four spots, from 15 to 18 feet, like I'm gonna be 85%. Like that's not a bad. Again, it's not 3 points. It's still 2 points at the end of the day. Like
yeah. And he's made a shit at this point. DeMar been in the league 16 years. He made a 16-year league or 16-year run
yeah,
doing that
16 to
play style.
17. Yeah.
And it worked with the Spurs, even though it was like the lane was clogged because it was him and LaMarcus Aldridge. But
Another guy who was just like, hey, from this range, this is where I dominate. But yeah, in typical UNC-Duke fashion, it had to come down to the wire, and I think it was because they kept replaying the fucking Austin Rivers 3-pointer from a decade and a half ago, where they were like, "That's Austin Rivers' best basketball moment of his entire fucking life, is his 3-pointer against
compared to when
UNC."
he played for Winter Park High,
Compared to that, compared to the game he put up 20 with a busted eye, compared to
and
everything.
look what I'm comparing it to, his high school,
Yeah, well,
his
don't forget
collegiate.
him, uh, Harrison Barnes, the great James Michael McAdoo. They were the guys that had those like ball is life, you know, mixtapes. And Austin Rivers was famous for having one of the best mixtapes out there from Winter Park or in the Jordan Brand
And look who
Classic or the.
became like a vet and still making money in the league. Harrison Barnes. Out of all both of them or out of all three of them, it was supposed to be James and Austin Rivers. They thought was
Yeah.
gonna be the next ones. Now, old man, it's crazy. He ain't even that old. Old man Harrison Barnes has made like a 14, 15-year career.
But it made sense because even though he was famous for being, you know, the reason why the Warriors didn't win against the Cavs, because they just subbed him out for Kevin Durant the next 3 years and went 2 for 3 with the titles. But he was still a solid player. And again, he's similar to that DeMar DeRozan thing. Like his game's a certain style. It's not so modern as it is old school. But to bring it back to Caleb Wilson, like I think, because I was trying to do some research of like, because Harrison Barnes, when he went to UNC, that was kind of the prime era of Roy Williams was able to get local guys, but also, if not the, he wouldn't get the top 2 or 3 recruits, but he would still get guys in the top 10. And I feel like you would know this more than me, just because I haven't watched college basketball as much the last couple of years. But the reason like Hubert Davis's run has been kind of mediocre is because he's not as strong as recruiting as Roy Williams was, and especially developing, because it's not a game where guys want to stay like it was for Roy Williams, where he had point guard after point guard after point guard to relieve each other. It went from Ty Lawson to Kendall Marshall to then Kendall Marshall to Marcus Page, from Marcus Page to Joel Bear, and so on and so on. Like he was able to sustain, you know, guys and develop them over many years. Whereas like now, even though it's the NIL era, you think it'd be better for guys to stay and develop longer. Duke has kind of become the place where top recruits go. Case in point, even though the Boozer twins are always going to go to Duke no matter what. But what do you think about Caleb Wilson choosing UNC? Because especially said he was like, I could have gone to Duke, but they just stopped recruiting me after a while.
I think it worked out because we needed a guy. It's been a while since we had a guy that stood out and that was projected to be a top lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
That's the constant when it comes to, and like Dot said, you can't teach that. You can't teach heart. I'm not gonna sit up here and say Cam don't have heart, but you feel me? Like your player or your pops was $100+ million player, stole money from the Bulls organization because hell, it's an open door policy with the fucking Chicago Bulls. Shit, me and you can get a fucking some tick over there right now because we guards anyway. We already got 20 guards, but that's another conversation. But with Caleb, I think is perfect because we needed a guy like that. Because again, we're not strong in recruiting. Uh, the not the nostalgia, but the what the kids say. I hate this fucking word, but the
Yeah.
aura of UNC has dissipated in the last couple of years. I'll say the last 13, 14 years or something like that. Since we got our national title, even though we had national title after that, but when we got the top three players that go in the lottery being Barnes, Henson, and Kendall. Kendall Marshall was in that as well when we won that national title. It's kind of like the recruiting class hasn't been as consistent as it once was before. And Duke start playing, yeah, I said it, paying players, getting the Kyries and the Zions. And I can't hate the player, hate the game, but still. So with Caleb, I'm glad he came to the winner's circle. More likely he gonna be one and done. I'll be very surprised if he do another season, but I doubt it. Go get
No,
paid.
no.
Um, but again, with these players, sometimes I say like, because the worst organization in NBA history, the Washington Generals, they always in that play for a lottery pick. I'm always gonna say, I don't know, bro. Let me see what's up. But at the same time, it's kind of like the changing of the guard, so to speak. They still gonna be ass, but now since they got them trade picks
Don't.
or them trades, I can
Well,
see.
don't. They gave up picks to get Anthony Davis. So
Yeah, but
that's
still, which is dumb because he probably gonna be there for a year. I don't know
no,
his
he's not.
contract, a
He's not
year or
even.
two.
He won't suit up for them at all.
No,
He already said
you
he's sitting out the rest of this year, and before the season starts, he'll be traded again.
yeah. I mean, but that's how you at that point where it's like it's almost time to call it. You ain't AD no more. You Anthony Davis. When they start trading you around, and then Trey Young, I don't know what they gonna do. But going back to Caleb, yeah, we needed this. I think he's a good player, but like I keep trying to tell Doug, I think depending on the team, I'm picking Cam Boozer with the number one overall pick.
Over Debansa, Darren Peterson, and Caleb Wilson.
They could put the ball on the floor. It just depends on what you want because AJ is a two. The guy from
But he's got. But again, he. Well, he really should be a 4 because of his height. But then that means because he, like you said, he should be a
you
2
could put
because of
him at
his
the three
style.
like you did Kevin Durant because
I was
Kevin
about to say,
Durant was at the
realistically,
two.
he should be a 3. Like, but then again, with the way he's gone, and Jason Tatum's basically a 4 now because then they can put Jalen Brown at the 3. I'm just saying that in the terms of like guys with similar builds and similar games of like you really should be something, but because we're now in the modern game of height and wingspan and speed and shooting and the way you can handle it's not as um role fitting as it used to be. Like you said, like Cam Boozer, he kind of has an old school where like he just tries to get inside, but he can also knock it down
Yeah,
from 3. But then on defense, it's like this guy's not a stopper, so he's kind of going to be the old school power forward. Um, but that's why I think it's risky kind of to pick him one based off the game last night, where like everyone's saying, like that was a good showcase for Caleb Williams, and then Darren Peterson showed up in the game against Devansa a week ago, but the week before that, Devansa put up 40 against Utah, and it showed like, all right, these 4 guys are really going to be. it's like winner's choice. Whoever gets picked one, you're
Yeah,
not gonna. And it's also what people could have thought with the 2017 draft when it was Markel Fultz, who people were high on just given his ability. Um, Even though he went to a school that wasn't successful, Lonzo Ball, which obviously we didn't know what was bound to come with the knees, but still at that
that's so
time he
damn.
was
It's over for my dude.
he was the best passer in almost in basketball at that point. The way he was finding guys,
And he played
and
defense.
he could play defense, and his shot wasn't as perfect as it seemed to be in terms of like the way people talked about it. But again, he was a shooter, and then Jason Tatum, obviously, with the game that everyone wants, which is your 6'8" athletic shoot dribble, and he's made improvements since then in terms of all those aspects. But like that was a draft where everyone's like, if you have a top 3 pick, you're not missing out. Same thing like it was for Wiggins, Parker, and Embiid at that time, where everyone was high on each of those 3 guys for what they could do. Andrew Wiggins, super athletic. Jabari Parker, super old school game. Joel Embiid, a big man you can't miss.
Right. So again, it's just depending on who gets the first pick. It's politics. All this shit set up. It's not me sound like conspiracy theory banks. It's real. Because how did the Mavs get Cooper Flag? Like after that trade. So I'm looking at the Pelicans. If you the Pelicans, you pick up Cam Boozer because obviously the Zion thing is about to end, just like the John Morant thing. But also if you get AJ being the Pelicans, you got Jeremiah Fierce. Um, DeJounte Murray, I think he's out to fucking lunch. He's a simp. So that relates to his knees as well. But then you got I was about to call him Dairy Queen for some reason. But Derek Queen, you got him over there as well.
If he
So if
starts
you
to
get
balloon up like Zion Williamson, then maybe they will call him Dairy Queen.
yeah, no, he's not gonna get he has self-control, something Zion doesn't have, and that's a whole 30-minute conversation. But he's a big guy, but pause, but he's not like, you know, right here. And then Zion want to be skinny, but then yet a whole different conversation. But yeah, so either way, I think Caleb right now, if I'm thinking about it, because oh, surprise, surprise, the Kings got the worst record in the NBA. Where have I heard that before?
And surprise, surprise, they're gonna botch the pick like they do every fucking
Yeah,
time. The only time they
like
got it right was Boogie Cousins, but then as soon as they had a good season with Boogie Cousins and Mike Malone, they're like, Mike Malone, you're out of here.
right, which is fucking stupid because both of them to see eye to eye. But the problem with the Kings is you don't see eye to eye with winning. You don't see the eye to eye with common sense. You got DeMar over there, who's probably a Hall of Famer. Again, I like DeMar, but it's the NBA Hall of Fame. Everybody get in. You got Zach Levine over there, Malik Monk. Like that's pretty good. I feel like I'm
Russell
missing a
Westbrook.
point guard. You got a decent enough team where Sabonis still over there too, right?
Nope, they
That's
got Russell
crazy. Like an
Westbrook.
all-star is over there, and I'm just
Oh no,
like,
he is still over there. Yeah, I thought they were gonna trade. There were talks that they were gonna potentially trade him.
yeah, like
Uh,
this dude need to
yeah,
be on the winning team, and I'm just like, wait a minute, Sabonis over there. It's just that's Koch Records. That know what I mean when I say Koch Records. That's the graveyard. When you go to the Kings, it's like I don't want to play with you anymore. We just throw
oh,
you
most
away.
definitely. Yeah, everyone
So
says like because there's that tweet about once you see an all time great in that Grizzlies jersey, you know they're done. But the Kings, like you said, they're really the graveyard. That's where like careers go to die, and unless you somehow find like that's what was happening with Harrison Barnes, right? He went to San Antonio, then he went to Sacramento, and now isn't he back? Or am I thinking of the other way? He was in Sacramento, then went to
no,
San
he went to
Antonio
Sacramento, and then he went to the Spurs. But
because he
after
was
he
part of the
left,
De'Aaron Fox trade, right?
yeah, after he left Golden State, if I'm not mistaken, he went to excuse me, the Mavs to get paid. Because again, the Warriors and
Yeah,
you know we
he
could
went
spend
back to
$1 billion
Dallas.
for arena, but we could spend $5 for all these other players except for Steph Curry.
Well,
And then we
that
wonder
go
why we in the shitter
well,
because we
and
got
you're
Jim. Hold on, let me talk about Jimmy Butler, punk ass. And then we got Jimmy Butler over here, Mr. 2 a.m. Motherfucking Derek Cole. 2 a.m. Insomniac, Derek Coleman, I'm sorry, that played for the 76ers. And now he hurt. Yeah, your career's over, cocksucker.
well, you're basically describing why I didn't really full on root for both of those teams during my time. Again, I love basketball, but the reason I picked a team like the Celtics is I'm like the Kings. Like, look at their roster. every year it's like, who the fuck? It's like Major League. Like, who are these fucking guys?
No,
Like,
they be having guys. Because
no,
remember
I'm saying
Chris
back
Martin?
then. Back then they had Kevin Martin.
Kevin, my fault. Kevin
But
Martin.
it was
Ron
John
Artest, number
Salmons.
79, Ron Artest, or he
But then they
might have been
shipped off Ron
99.
Artest. But it was like they had John Salmons, Mikey Moore, Omri Caspi, which
Aaron
would be
Brooks, right?
no, they didn't have Aaron. They had Pooh Jeter for a little bit. Or some other bad Kings. I'm trying to think of. Oh,
You think about the bad one. I'm thinking about the ones that can play.
Jason Thompson, who was fucking horrible. And that's another bad pick because that's a draft I've gone over with an old friend of mine. It's like, look at the pick with Jason Thompson. And then I think Paul George is the next pick after. Or something like that. But yeah, Jason Thompson. Or no. He would have been 2 years before because the Paul George one was the Boogie Cousins draft, which was a smart pick. But the Kings, they would just get garbage guys, and then the Warriors, they would just be stupid with their trades year after year, where they would just. And I've said this before on the show, and I've said this to people, like, I thought they made a mistake choosing Steph Curry over Monte Ellis, just because at that time it was the glass ankles Steph Curry. So I'm like, you already know what you got with Monte Ellis, which is 25 a game. Yeah, he's short and doesn't want to play defense, but if you're picking one guy scoring over another's, this guy's going to show up more than Steph Curry and his glass ankles are. But then it proved to be right because Steph Curry got, an Under Armour deal and some ankle braces and turned out to be Steph Curry. But still, like, that's why I couldn't full on root for either of them, because one was bad at drafting, the other was bad at trading. And as